What is good, everyone? Welcome back to a special episode of the Renegade Roundtable podcast. I am Jeffrey Kirby. As you can see, we have a special guest with us, and his name is, of course, Hunter Osborne. How are you today?
Go Browns, baby. Go
Fuck
Browns.
no. Fuck that. As you can see, yeah, it's going to be one of those days. It's going to be one of those episodes. We got a Browns fan. We got a Steeler fan. It's going to be all kinds of fun. Obviously, we're going to have people, hopefully, in the chat, comment with us, whatever team you were rooting for, whether you're the Browns, whether you're the Steelers. It's going to be an absolute blast. And all I got to say is so far, this game is going to be very interesting. And especially from the last time that we saw these two teams play on Thursday Night Football.
Well, absolutely. I think when you look at both of these teams aren't where they want to be right now. And you look at the first 2 weeks of the season, the Browns look good in week 1 against Carolina, barring the last couple minutes of the game. Then Pittsburgh beating the defending AFC champs. So both teams picking up big wins in week 1, looking good. And then they come into week 2. The Browns have one of the worst losses I've ever seen in the last 2 minutes against the Jets.
Jim Donovan said that was the worst loss he's ever seen.
It might be. It honestly might be. And, Pittsburgh, you obviously being there, losing to the Patriots, didn't seem like the offense could get anything going at all. No. That's the thing. I think that's the key to tonight's game is it will end up being the Steelers offense versus the Browns defense. If the Browns can, get their communication better, the secondary can play a lot better, then I can definitely see the Cleveland Browns winning this game. But if those issues remain and Mitch Trubisky can throw the ball down the field, I can see the Pittsburgh Steelers winning this game. To me, honestly, it's a toss-up right now.
So here's my thought process on this, and this is something that I've noticed throughout the week. Both Browns fans and Steelers fans don't feel good about this game. Because for us, for Pittsburgh, obviously we're having our offensive issues, obviously, in terms of the play calling. I have a theory on that I do want to get into here in a couple minutes. But yeah, just simply with our offense just not being up to par, our defense, we only for the third time since 2017 did we not record a sack last week against New England. And obviously with TJ Watt being out, that's kind of an issue when you're not able to get sacks and help your offense out in any shape or form. Because right now, with the way that the Steelers team is, you have to have little to no issues if you want to win football games. This is how Mike Tomlin wants to win. He wants to win ugly. He wants to win close games. And just simply with the way that this team is built and the way that it's being coached, it's just simply not going to be the case. And obviously for the Browns fans, there was a players only meeting in week 2 after 2 games, which you can make it a positive, but you could also make it a negative, which is what seems like has been going all throughout the week. And like you said, on multiple occasions, there's been issues going on in terms of communication in the secondary. People are calling for Joe Woods' name or for his job. People that we know personally. Someone even changed their Facebook name to F Joe Woods, for crying out loud. But,
shout out Dan.
But yeah, it's just one of those things where, there's issues on both sides of the field, or on both sides, both teams, and it's just going to be a matter of, especially with the wind or with the weather being how it is, the winds are going absolutely nuts. It's going to be rainy, and I think this is where it's definitely going to benefit you guys, the Cleveland Browns, because of the ability to run the football. Because obviously Nick Chubb, and here's something that, and you and me discussed this earlier, and we'll get your opinion on the whole blaming Nick Chubb thing last week against the Jets. We'll get into that because, wow. Yeah. I feel like a lot of Browns fans don't realize this. Nick Chubb is second all time in rushing yards per carry, right behind Jamal Charles. Second all time. And then you have Kareem Hunt, who is a running back who literally, he could be a starting running back on a lot of teams.
Kareem Hunt runs like a man with his hair on fire. And me and my roommates, actually, we talk about it all the time when the Browns are on. We love when Kareem Hunt enters the game because when he gets the ball, he runs like he's crazy. Like he is a crazy man. Like he's on the loose. His arms are swinging everywhere. It's hilarious. Last week, I texted you and told you he kicked LaMarcus Joyner in the head after trying to hurdle him. But like you said, tonight, heavy winds. It is rainy in downtown Cleveland. It's fall, Jeff. And we finally have reached fall, and it looks like in downtown Cleveland, that's how it's going to be. And like you said, it definitely does benefit the Browns a lot more. Now, like you said, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, I mean, anytime you have to put the rushing game, it's most 99% of the time it's going to be in favor of the Browns just because of that offensive line, because of the best running back duo in the NFL. But with that being said, you have to look at the other side of the ball. Now I'm going to enter your territory with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Najee Harris has not been that good the first 2 games of the season. Trust me, I know he's my fantasy running back. With that being said, I think Najee Harris is a tremendous talent. He is trending upwards. He is going to be one of the best running backs in the NFL for years to come. But with the way that they've played the first 2 weeks of the season, I could be wrong here, but I don't think the offensive line has been horrible.
No. So here's what's ironic about this, and I'm going to stop you on something real quick because, well, yes, like you said, the offensive line has actually not been as bad as we all thought going into the season, which is very surprising. And I'm going to make a comparison, and you will know this all too well. Najee's vision, ball carry vision, is Trent Richardson-esque right now. Oof. It's like there's been times where you will see gaping holes and he's missing them. And there's a reason why he's barely averaging 3 yards per carry, where, I mean, it's just he's not hitting the holes. And I'm wondering how much of that's got to deal with the Liz Frank he's dealing with. And so there's that. And then there's just a lot of issues going with this offense. And surprisingly, the offensive line not being at the very, very top of the list is shocking on multiple levels.
I really like the Trent Richardson comparison there. I think it's pretty solid. But the funny thing about that is people always say, "Oh, scout the player and not the helmet." Talking about college football, we've seen it with Ohio State quarterbacks. And it's kind of funny. Both Alabama running backs, both first-round picks. Trent Richardson was the number 3 pick in the draft. I mean, for Trent Richardson, I don't want to see Najee Harris's career, take the trend that Trent Richardson did, and I don't think it will. I think Najee Harris will be just fine because he's a dynamic back out of the backfield. He can do multiple things. He can catch the football. But on a night like tonight, you're going to need him to be – you're going to need him to outrun Nick Chubb or at least get very close and in order to, your offense to be successful, because we've seen with Pittsburgh in the first 2 weeks, and obviously I've seen you all over Twitter, they do not throw the ball down the field. And can they not throw the ball down the field or will they not? I think it's a mixture of both. I think it's more so Matt Canada doesn't want to throw the ball down the field. I think Mitch Trubisky, I think he can, to a certain extent. I think that's where both of our quarterbacks are limited with Jacoby Brissett and Mitch Trubisky. You ain't going to see Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes tonight like we did last week. We discussed that earlier this week. But when you look at these two teams and their offenses on a night like this, that's what separates them. The passing games are very similar. Both quarterbacks that are limited in a certain aspect. But the run game, like you said, like we've been discussing, is the difference. The Browns' offensive line, incredible. Remember, Jack Conklin makes his season debut tonight. He is back tonight. So that is huge for the Browns' offensive line.
And it makes you feel better if you're a Browns fan knowing that TJ Watt's not going to be out there going up against him.
And that was my next point. Having the reigning defensive player of the year not on the other side, and his impact was felt. And that's the thing, too, is when you have these big players, TJ Watt, who is the second best edge rusher in the NFL,
you can't even say that with a straight face.
I know. When the best edge rusher in the NFL and TJ Watt isn't available, it changes everything. It changes the dynamic of this Pittsburgh defense. Thank God Minkah Fitzpatrick has been playing at a defensive player of the year level through the first 2 weeks. So there is a good shot that Cincinnati wins that game in week one. Cincinnati should have won that game in week one, We'll be honest with you. I mean, Pittsburgh should be 0-2 coming in here tonight, but hey, that's the thing. That's the crazy thing about football. Pittsburgh should be 0-2 and Cleveland should be 2-0 right now. But here we are. We're both sitting at 1-1. But yeah, I'm very excited for the game tonight. I think this is going to be a very entertaining 14-10 game. And yeah, I can't wait for Nick Chubb to run for 200 yards.
So there was something that you said, and it runs right into my theory that I have. And you're talking about Matt Canada, and you're talking about Mitch Trubisky in terms of the pass game on whether they'll throw it downfield.
Yep.
My theory is this is more on Mike Tomlin than Matt Canada. And the reason why I say that is when you go back to training camp and talk up and hear what Mike Tomlin was saying about what he wants out of a quarterback. He wants a guy that's going to be very conservative, a guy that's not going to turn over the football, and this is exactly what he wanted. He wants it, and there's a reason why we're not seeing many throws inside the numbers. We saw that once last week. That turned into an interception, although it didn't help that Mr. Trubisky was eyeing whoever, I forget who it was. He was eyeing him down like no tomorrow, which led to a tip interception. But my theory on this is I truly believe that this has a lot more to do with Mike Tomlin because this is what he wants. The only way that I see this changing is if Art Rooney gets involved. Because Mike Tomlin now, especially with Kevin Colbert being out, being gone, and Ben Roethlisberger being gone, the power's really all in Mike Tomlin's hands. And this is what he wants. Unless Art Rooney were to come in and say, listen, you need to open things up. Stop playing this conservative bullshit offense and let's get this going. This is what Mike Tomlin's going to want. And between Matt Canada and all that, obviously, yes, it doesn't help that Matt Canada came from a college offense. This offense looks like an offense that you would see, the Cleveland Guardians State University going up against the whatever named community college. That's the kind of offense that I'm getting with this, from what we've seen, which is
and I don't. And as an outsider looking in as a Browns fan, I truly don't understand it because when you look at this Pittsburgh team, the defense is there. The defense is very, very good. So maybe Mike Tomlin's logic is, okay, our defense is good enough to get turnovers, to keep points on the board. So he doesn't feel like he has to. But I don't get it because you look at the offense, Jeff, and you have Deontay Johnson, you have Chase Claypool, you drafted George Pickens in the second round, and you're barely using him. And then you have Najee Harris, who you drafted in the first round last year. So it's like Pat Freiermuth. It's like, why are you using these early draft picks on these guys and you're not maximizing their abilities?
My theory on this is going to be because he's simply this is just the play style that he wants, and it also could be a mixture of he does not trust Mitch Trubisky. And here's my thing. If you simply cannot trust Mitch Trubisky to play and be able to throw the ball downfield and play like an NFL quarterback, why in the hell are you playing him? Because you have a guy right behind him. He's so hell-bent on letting Kenny Pickett sit all year long. If it's up to Mike Tomlin, Kenny Pickett will not see the field one time this year. And I guarantee you, the next time, regardless of what happens in this game, unless Mr. Trubisky looks like the second coming of Justin Herbert, the moment you're going to have Steeler fans chanting out Kenny Pickett going into next week when you go up against the Jets. If you the first incompletion, you're going to have Kenny chants. I mean, hell, I was at the game on Sunday with New England. There were Kenny chants that happened on multiple occasions because there's simply the fact that Mr. Trubisky is not. Now, it makes it seem like I'm putting all the blame on Mike Tomlin and Matt Canada. I'm not. Because Mr. Trubisky definitely deserves some blame. There are some Steeler fans that want to feel like he has absolutely no blame in the world. But he doesn't. There's this blame to go with Mitch Trubisky because he's simply not missing. He's not making correct reads. He's willing to just check it down when there is plays that take a tiny bit of time to develop where you can maybe throw the ball downfield. He's just checking it down before the play even fully develops. There's just certain things like that that are just so annoying. There's been on a multitude of occasions where Mr. Trubisky didn't go to the correct read, instead just checked it down. you're becoming the check down master. What the hell are we doing here? Because you have Kenny Pickett, who came from a gunslinging offense at Pitt. He's going to be a guy, he ain't going to be afraid to throw the football downfield. He's going to let that bad boy rip. And the other thing that's annoying is, okay, Matt Canada, he's not willing to, there's no audibles that you're able to do when, if you're Mitch Trubisky. Is that simply because you just don't trust Mitch Trubisky's intellect in football? Or what's going on with that? Because that is an issue in itself right there. There is a multitude of issues. I could go on for hours and hours and hours about this offense. It's just what in the hell is going on? But obviously we don't have that kind of time. But there's just so much that is going on, and it is infuriating beyond belief. It literally is going to make me drink. I'm drinking right now. That's literally what this offense is going to have me doing tonight.
Yeah, and that was something I never truly understood with Steeler fans, was looking at them and thinking, okay, when you sign Mitch Trubisky, and they're like, oh, yeah, Trubisky, we're going to be good next year. We have a quarterback that can, do this and that.
My initial reaction.
No, the only thing that is going to be different, I thought, was that Trubisky's going to be able to move around better than Ben could. Because obviously Ben the last couple of years was pretty immobile. Didn't really do much. Trubisky can at least move in the pocket a little bit. But like you said, it doesn't matter because he checks everything down. And that's the thing is, maybe – and we saw it in week one in the overtime game. Trubisky was throwing the ball downfield a little bit. But, it was working some of the time. And, let's be honest, the catch was all Deontay Johnson. But, yes. That was one of the greatest catches I've ever seen. But, that's the thing is, people, I've seen it all over Twitter, is let Mitch loose. Let him go. Well, the thing is can Mitch himself let it loose? Are we sure that Mitch Trubisky is the answer here? And like you said, I don't think Mike Tomlin trusts him all like that. And like you said, why is he even in the game? Why is he playing quarterback? Why is he even on the field if Mike Tomlin doesn't trust him? I don't think there's any harm right now in letting Kenny Pickett play. I think, yeah, sure, it's only week 3. It's rookie year. But if you don't have better options at this stage of the game, you might as well let it go.
Here's a perfect example for you right here. Browns fans know all about it. And you know exactly where I'm about to go with.
Yep.
What happened in 2018, week 3 on Thursday Night Football?
Browns backup rookie quarterback Baker Mayfield entered the game for Tyrod Taylor and absolutely went on a tear.
Thank you. I got a hot take. I do think at some point in time something weird's gonna happen, and I do think we see Kenny Pickett tonight. I'm praying to the Lord above.
Really?
I'm praying to the gods, to the football gods. Please, can we please see Kenny freaking Pickett? For the love of God, I don't know how much fucking more times I can watch this offense just be absolutely pitiful. Amen.
I pray we see Mason Rudolph tonight.
He's going to be inactive. He'll be a healthy scratch.
But I'll be honest with you. Obviously, yes, you said it was a hot take, so it's most likely not going to happen. I don't think we see Pickett tonight just because of the weather. It's going to be a shitty game unless the offense hits complete stagnant, gets completely stagnant, doesn't have any points, and maybe the third quarter, maybe he'll be like, okay, maybe we need to get on the board here. Let's see what Kenny's got, put him in. But for tonight, I think they roll with Trubisky the whole way through. Unless per se, maybe they don't score. Now, granted, this is not going to happen most likely unless they score 0 points tonight and get blown out by the Browns. Which
here's the thing: there are certain Steeler fans that are secretly wanting that to happen. There are certain Steeler fans that secretly, they won't admit it on social media, but deep down here, they want the Cleveland Browns to absolutely obliterate the Steelers and have this offense just look absolute. They want this offense to look like how Justin Fields' first start against you guys looked last year. That's what they want because they feel like that might be the chance to get Kenny Pickett in. I guarantee you there's a few Steeler fans that will not admit it, but that is what they're thinking.
So do you think that like since they like want that to happen, they're not true Steeler fans?
Um,
I want your opinion on this because I'm going to admit something to you. Last year, when the Browns played on Monday night against you guys,
mm-hmm.
I believe that was that the second to last week of
Yep,
the year.
well, that was Baker's last game, but
Baker's last game as a Brown. Yeah, he was awful. He was awful. He started the game, I believe, 1 for 10. And I'll
those
be
were
honest
the
with you,
only other live reaction streams that I did, which by the way, I'm doing again tonight, 8 p.m. Shameless
unreal.
plug.
No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, he started 1 for 10. I'll be honest with you, I wanted it to keep going. I wanted to see how far we could get with him because here's the thing: is, and I'm not even gonna lie to you. Last year, I was calling for Baker Mayfield to be out of here. I was. I'll be honest with you, because at that time, it just wasn't what was best for us. He was not playing well, and I knew going into that Monday night game against you guys, I knew we were not going to beat you guys. I knew it. We were Big Ben's last home game. We had just come off that heartbreaking loss to the Packers.
Christmas
we were Christmas Day. We were not going to beat you guys. I knew that. But, when you get, and people were still so hell-bent, oh, Baker's going to do this. And I'm like, can't you guys just see what he's doing? And he starts off so poorly. And yeah, he started off so poorly, and it's probably shitty, but our season was over anyways. And I was like, look at this. What's your excuse now? 1 for 10, 1 for 11. What's your excuse? TJ Watt batting his balls down at the line of scrimmage and talking shit to him afterwards. What's your excuse for that? So I understand in a sense. I guess when you look back to Baker's rookie year, kind of making that comparison to Pickett and him now, I did want Baker to start from week 1, and he didn't. I still rooted for Tyrod. I did because to be honest with you, Tyrod wasn't bad.
No,
he really wasn't.
I remember specifically the one throw that he had to, I forget who it was. He had a beautiful pass against New Orleans, week 2.
Oh, to Antonio Callaway.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and he was fine.
That was a dot.
But, I mean, you have to be honest with you. When you have a veteran bridge quarterback like that is not your franchise guy and just waiting, I don't want to celebrate an injury because that's horrible to do, but when he comes out of the game and you realize, okay, we're going to see Baker Mayfield now. We're going to see what he's made of. You get excited. I mean, you saw the electricity that night, the way the crowd was. That was the loudest that stadium had been in years. And honestly, Jeff, until the end of time, that's going to be one of the most memorable Browns games of my life. Ending the losing streak, Baker's first game. But obviously that's all over now. But just the feeling of getting that rookie quarterback in, and I'll be honest with you, I bet Titans fans felt it Monday night. Sure, they were getting the shit kicked out of them by Buffalo, but hey, you're like, wow, Malik Willis is coming into this game. Like, okay, let's see what it gives you another reason to watch the game because you're like, sure, we're down 34 right now, but let's see what Malik Willis is doing. So I do for Pittsburgh fans. I hope he doesn't come in tonight because Myles Garrett will kill him. But I think I'll be honest with you. Even as a division rival of yours, I am very eager to see Kenny Pickett play. And because if you guys can get a quarterback, if that is Pickett to drive the ball down the field, you guys are a very good team. And I believe your offense is really the only thing. The offense and Watt's injury right now is the only thing truly holding you guys back.
Which, again, I do have to say thank you. Here, I got to speak to the football gods for a second again. Let me do this real quick. Football gods, let me say thank you again so much for not making TJ Watt's injury a full season. Because, A, Mike Tomlin's record season of not having a losing record.
Keep talking, Jeff.
That's going to be gone. And B, just thank you fucking Lord have mercy. Amen. Now, Hunter had to go and get a package real quick, so he'll be right back. But while he is doing that, I'm going to ramble on for a second again. Because going kind of back to what he said about, just that whole experience with Baker and them in this game. And, damn, Hunt, you a Steeler fan now? He'll see that here in a second. I'll make sure that he sees that. But what's up, Justin? How you doing? But no, I mean, in reality, it's one of those things where it's like, you always have a curiosity factor no matter who you're rooting for, whether just to see what these different quarterbacks are like. Because, I mean, me being a Steeler fan, every year when there's a new quarterback that comes in, you always have that curiosity factor I don't actually hope that happens. What do you mean? You don't think? What are you talking? Which one are you referring to? But yeah, just there's certain things that you always are curious about. I was curious. We were all curious to see, what or Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, and all them. We're all curious about that. Justin says, "Damn, Hunt,
Dude,
you a Steeler fan now?"
Justin, get the hell out of the chat, dude.
But no, but yeah,
Justin, you see what jersey I got on?
Only reason why I'm wearing Big Ben today is because all my other jerseys are set up in my background for the live stream that I'm doing tonight. Which, by the way, finally, you won't have a quality camera that's equivalent to Matt Canada's offense.
Yeah, thank God. But yeah, I think honestly, looking back or looking towards tonight, I don't know. I think I don't know what happens. I really don't. And that's why I'm so intrigued to see if the Browns secondary can clean it up, which I honest to God think they will. I think they'll be fine.
Because here's my thing. I don't necessarily think that it should be Joe Woods that gets fired. It should be more of the secondary coach.
Yeah, I agree.
Because now Joe Woods is going to be the guy that's going to, people are calling for it because he's the higher up for the defense. But in reality, I mean, I was listening to an interview with Richard Sherman today. And Sherman said, you can't, I mean, he's calling the right plays, a.k.a. Joe Woods. It's just the execution is not there.
Absolutely. And it's like, how can the arguably one of the more talented secondaries in the NFL not stop a nosebleed? Because I'll be honest with you, Jeff, the front seven has been awesome this year. The front seven, Anthony Walker, I don't know what's going on with Anthony Walker, but he is playing tremendous this year so far. JOK, still looking like the superstar in the making that we think he's going to be. Myles Garrett has been very good the first 2 weeks.
You know what, real quick, I need to ask you something about Myles Garrett, because I was talking to a couple different Browns fans earlier in the week, and they were talking about Myles Garrett. And one of them called Myles Garrett a quote-unquote head case based on the whole booing which, and listen, I got so much we could go into with this, especially just with that game on Sunday against the Jets. But, and another thing too, here's something that's interesting is the fact that Myles Garrett in the fourth quarter just simply doesn't seem like the dominant force that there was a stat where, in quarters 2 and 3, Myles Garrett's the best in the NFL right now, but in the fourth quarter, he's just simply not that great.
Justin can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think on that final drive against the Jets last week, he was not on the field for a couple of plays.
He wasn't, and apparently, I'm wondering if that had to deal with the neck injury that he's. And I'm gonna be curious to see what kind of maybe on a pitch count if he's gonna be on a pitch count today. Which I think is going to be absolutely huge, especially with Clowney being out.
Clowney being out is going to be very big.
Because especially with his ability to stop the run, I mean, those two being bookends across from each other, that's a very good duo in terms of pass rush. But yeah, having him out, so now you can shift a little bit more of the protection to Myles Garrett, and if something's going on with Myles Garrett in his neck and he's not going to be out there, now you're really going deep into your bag of depth for your edge rushers, with Chase Winovich being on IR. So now you're really going into your 4th and 5th guys.
Yeah, and I think honestly, like you said, losing Jadeveon Clowney tonight is very big. Myles Garrett, being on a pitch count, if he is per se. I mean,
yeah, we don't know.
I mean, losing both of those guys is huge. I mean, you can't have that. And, with how bad the secondary has been, losing your 2 edge rushers, that will give Trubisky more time to throw, probably. It just allows for more miscommunication in the secondary, or guys not being able to hold the zone coverage or hold their mans for a certain amount of time. And I mean, it could get ugly. And that's the thing, and that's probably one of the biggest X factors tonight is how Miles Garrett's going to be, and how Alex Wright steps in without Jadeveon Clowney
And
playing.
then what was it, Isaac Rochelle?
Isaac Rochelle, yeah, he will be the other defensive end tonight. Um, so I mean, I think honestly tonight could possibly be a Najee Harris game. I think I think if the offensive line, can hold up against Alex Wright, and if Miles Garrett, depending on how much he plays, um, this could be a good game for the Steelers offense, the game that they need. Um, but I don't know. At the same time, I kind of look at the other side of the ball, and I look at the Browns offense against the Steelers defense. We know how great the Steelers defense has been, but also at the same time, let's not take for granted how good the Browns offense has been as well. The Browns are scoring at an alarming rate right now. I mean, they're averaging 27 points a game through the first 2 weeks. Jacoby Brissett has looked pretty well. Week 1, he struggled a little bit. That's fine. Week 2 last week against the Jets, I mean, Kevin Stefanski, the concepts he drew up, the plays he was calling, I mean, Jacoby Brissett looked really, really well last week. So, I mean, if they can continue to, have him make the right plays, not necessarily airing it out, not necessarily having him to make the play or the big plays, but just getting us where we need to be on the field, and then letting Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt take over like Nick Chubb did last week. This offense is going to be in pretty good shape. Because I'll be honest with you, Jeff, like I said, we're averaging 27 points for the first 2 games. If we score 27 tonight, I don't see Pittsburgh beating us at all.
I don't.
Unless
you get a turnover or two that really leads to you being already in the end zone, there's not a chance in hell I could see this offense scoring 27. The only way I see that happening is, and God forbids we don't want this to happen, but something happens to Mitch Trubisky early on. Kenny Pickett comes in, and they just say, "Fuck it, let's just air it out," and he just turns into the second coming of God, which again I highly doubt that's gonna happen, but.
Yeah, I think, and that's the thing too, is I don't think the Browns score 27 points tonight. I don't. I think, on a cold, rainy Thursday night game, like it is going to be tonight, I think it will be a low scoring battle. And that's what scares me, is if it's a battle of the defenses. Obviously Pittsburgh's defense is better than ours, especially with, not having Clowney, Garrett, we don't know, and the secondary being as bad as they have been. I trust your guys' defense more than ours right now. But also, I trust our offense a lot more than your guys'. So I think, I mean, it's just going to be a battle of who can do more on both sides of the ball, which obviously, in hindsight, that's what every game is. But when you really look at this game, I think it's going back to the basics. It's going to be the run game. Who can dominate the run game? Who can be more effective in the run game? And the defense. On the defensive side, I think the Browns have a very good run defense. They're usually near the top of the NFL. Actually, Jake Trotter just tweeted, Browns running back wide receiver Demetric Felton is inactive tonight. It looks like a healthy scratch. So it looks like new pickup Chester Rogers. Chester Rogers is likely taking his place returning punts. So, I mean, Jerome Ford looked well returning kicks last week. He got one out to the 35 or 40-yard line at one point. So, yeah, so it looks like he's out tonight. I think the inactives are going to come out in a minute. So I think that's pretty interesting that Felton is inactive tonight, though. I think he's been kind of underwhelming. He's muffed a couple punts already this season. But his electricity and how he is as a player, I think the Demetric Felton era is coming to an end in Cleveland very soon. So, Chester Rogers, man. Okay. I remember Chester Rogers when he played for the Colts a little bit.
Yep.
But, it looks like he'll be returning punts tonight. So
here's my question, and this is something that I'm kind of curious about. And this was something that you and me discussed a little bit on Sunday night after the game, after we, let things cool off for a minute between both of our games. So you have Clowney, you have Myles Garrett out. I wonder if this is a game where maybe you see a rare situation where Joe Woods maybe tries to dial up a blitz or two.
And he needs to. I think that's the thing when you have a guy like Mitch Trubisky, a quarterback that won't throw the ball downfield, is you need to get to him as quick as you can. Sure, he's going to try to hit his little check downs, but Mitch Trubisky historically is not the most accurate guy. So if you can dial up a blitz or two and get to him, especially with the offense, your guys' offensive line has been good, has been decent so far this year, but they're not a good unit.
Right.
So I think if you can dial up some of those blitzes, some of those DB blitzes, I think it can work. Get some pressure to Trubisky, make him get it out quick. Like you said on some of those longer developing plays where he likes to check down. If you can get to him, I think that could work. But I don't know, to be honest with you. I think it's different. Like last week we saw, playing Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco's a veteran quarterback. He's been in the league for about 15 years now. He when you send those blitzes like that, those corner blitz or those disguised blitzes, a veteran quarterback knows what to do on them.
Right.
He knows the coverages, he knows everything. And that's part of the reason we were getting carved up. Is we were trying to disguise different things and do one thing or look one thing and do another, and he knew it was coming. He'd make the right read. He'd throw to Garrett Wilson. He'd throw to Corey Davis or Elijah Moore, and that's what killed us last week. So I'm not sure. I don't know. I think Trubisky.
I think if you really want to help your defense out, especially if Myles Garrett is not 100%, you really need to try to dial up a blitz or two. Because he's not a guy that if I'm a defensive coordinator, I don't trust him to make the right read. I don't even think his own team can trust him to make the right read. And so real quick, there was a video from Tom Pelissero, and it says 11 days after his pec injury, Steelers star T.J. Watt is out here running sprints and going through an extended pregame workout. So
that's insane.
Which, again, for the third time, thank you, God.
He's such a dog.
He got x-rays, came back, he got that dog in him. But yeah, just I feel, and again, basically what we've been talking about for the last 37 minutes is, we both have major concerns with parts of our team where it makes it feel like I feel like for me personally, I feel like I would be feeling a little bit better off if I was a Browns fan, because it's like, okay, the secondary is having issues, but I don't see an offense that you're not going up against an offense that I think is willing to throw the ball downfield. And if you're Matt Canada, and especially with this weather, I just simply feel like I would, and there's a reason why the Cleveland Browns are, 5.5 point favorite or something like that? Steel Black says if Garrett plays fully games, that's a huge risk. I think if there was any concern like that, he wouldn't play. Obviously you're going to have, there's always a risk on every play regardless, but I don't think they would put him out here if they think there would be a risk like that. I think if he's going out there to play, I truly believe that they believe that he's okay. And yeah, he didn't practice, what was it, yesterday or something? But at the end of the day, he's a veteran now. It is what it is. Let him, if you're the Browns, let him rest up. He'll be okay for this week. So
yeah, and when you look at this Browns defense, again, they're a good group. They're sixth best in the NFL in positive play rate. They do good at keeping things in check. But then again, it's the big plays and the third downs. They rank 28th in big plays and third downs, and that's just something you can't have. We saw how it was last week against the Jets. It just seemed like no matter what happened, it could have been 3rd and 3, it could have been 3rd and 13. The defense could not get off the field, and that's going to be the key tonight. You can't let Pittsburgh drive on you. Even field goals. Field goals. You know how good of a kicker Chris Boswell is. You can't let points on the board because those points will add up quickly. And in a game like tonight where the weather is very bad, field goals are probably going to win the game. And obviously I think we all know that Cade York's going to kick the game-winning 72-yarder tonight. Um, but yeah,
Are you sure you're not the one that's drinking?
So there's the Browns bus is in the Muni lot right now, and Nick Chubb's dad's just hanging out in there with the same jersey I got on. So I've never seen Nick Chubb's dad before. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you gotta say shout out to Papa Chubb.
Cleveland's rocking tonight, man. I think crowd is going to be very good. I mean, like you said, it's the first night of fall. The weather's getting like that. It's nighttime. It's Browns Steelers. It doesn't get any better than that in Cleveland. So I'm excited. I really am. I'm excited to see if the Browns need to win tonight. I don't
Steelers need to win tonight. I mean, let's be honest. For you guys, it's like for us winning means we're 2-0 against divisional opponents on the road, which is huge. For you guys, this is your first divisional game, period. So you want to get off to a good start in your division. That's why us winning against Cincinnati was so huge, being 1-0 in the division. I think that's what, and especially with the way that this division is, yeah, Cincinnati's having their woes right now. Yeah, I mean, Baltimore, they gave up a big-time lead, but I mean, I don't think that's going to be, that's going to be a downfall of their season. Right now, this division is a 4-team race. And any chance that you go up against a divisional opponent, these games just mean that much more. And that's why this game is going to be so important. And that's why I think it's going to be a 21-21 tie. No, I'm just kidding. It won't be a tie because I'm not there. Let's just say that. Steel Black says, hope Pickens gets a pass. Yeah, that'd be nice to see George Pickens, a guy that there was a lot of hype going with him in the preseason. I'd like to see him maybe get more than a couple targets a game. That's something I would definitely like to see. Canada, Tomlin, Mitch, can we please do that? Please and thank you.
Yeah, I think honestly, and I think when you look at the Browns tonight, and like I said, I mean that stadium is going to be rocking. They need a win. They do, and like I said, I don't say need a win too often. But I think tonight you need one. You can't afford to go
must win, but it's a game you need to win.
You need to win.
There's a difference.
You absolutely do. Because here's the thing: if you can go into Atlanta next week and be 2-1, and say you go in, and the Browns should go into Atlanta and win next week, this should possibly be 3-1 going into week 5 against the Chargers. Excuse me. The schedule gets tough. The schedule gets very tough because then you play the Chargers. You get a little easier of a game, not too much easier. You play New England, who you guys just lost to, but then you start playing the Bills, you start playing the Dolphins, you play the Buccaneers. I mean, you play Baltimore. The schedule gets brutal.
Yep.
There. So these easier early games in the season, you have to win. You have to win. You have to take these games because I tell you what, because in a week 13 when Deshaun Watson comes back, if you can be a 500 team or maybe a game above,
I think the lowest you could be is 5-6.
Yes, I agree. If you can be 5-6 with Deshaun Watson coming back, I still think you have a shot at making the playoffs. Now, if you're above 500 or at that 500 mark, I'd say you have a pretty decent chance because you look at our schedule the last couple weeks of the year, it is a little easier. It's just, I mean, the middle is tough. I don't know who. Screw the NFL schedule makers for putting our schedule like that. But I mean, we play the Bills and the Buccaneers in back-to-back weeks. I mean, that's not fun. That's not fun at all. So
not at all.
And with the way Miami's played the first 2 weeks, I pray for our secondary against them. I mean, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are going to make our secondary miscommunicate like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna miscommunicate like a high school relationship out here. So I think
it is homecoming season for high schoolers.
It is homecoming season. It is.
All right, so I have a question for you here, and it's something that we have to get into because it was news that came out yesterday and affects both of us. Joe Haden. He retires from the NFL. Signs a 1-day contract with the Browns, so he retires as a Cleveland Brown. As a Cleveland Browns fan, talking to you, what are your thoughts on that? What are your honest opinions on it?
Growing up, Joe Haden was one of my favorite Browns players. I love Joe Haden. I I love that Joe Hayden retired as a Brown. And, I've seen comments on both sides. I've seen Browns fans say, oh, he went to Pittsburgh. He can retire in Pittsburgh. We don't want him back. And I've seen Pittsburgh fans upset that he retired as a Brown, because he played his last 5 years in Pittsburgh. But here's the thing is when you look at a guy like Joe Hayden, who was drafted by the Cleveland Browns,
2010.
He had more success with the Cleveland Browns.
Spent more years there.
And individual success. Spent more years there. Has always seemed to keep that love for Cleveland, even over the years when he was in Pittsburgh. I don't see a problem with it at all. In fact, I love it. I love that Joe Hayden picked Cleveland to come back and retire. And to the Browns fans that are saying he went to Pittsburgh, Joe Hayden doesn't owe us anything. Joe Hayden didn't have to retire here. Joe Hayden was cut by the Cleveland Browns. Joe Hayden, who still had a couple of good years left, was cut.
He made another Pro Bowl in 2018 with the Steelers.
Yeah. He didn't owe it to us to, stay loyal to us. We cut him. He went to Pittsburgh. So be it. If he was a free agent and he didn't resign here and went to Pittsburgh, okay, I can possibly see that. I can understand that to a certain extent. But we let him go. When you let him go, it's fair game. You can go to wherever you want. And Pittsburgh was the best option for him. So I don't blame him at all.
Because I think a lot of people tend to forget at that time, that previous year, Pittsburgh was in the AFC title game.
Absolutely.
So, and that's the other thing, too, that I see is, and I was having a conversation about this, about he went to Pittsburgh, so F him and blah, blah, blah. Again, we don't know the kind of opportunities he may or may not have had. I mean, for a lot of us, we judged Cam Newton going to New England. Come to find out, that was the only opportunity he had. So, of course, you're going to take it. I'm not saying maybe. So, say at that time, maybe Pittsburgh was the only team to give him an option. If you're about, no, he better not go there. He better retire early. No. I mean, we let him go because he wouldn't restructure his contract and then went to the enemy. Screw him.
Well,
that was from Justin.
No. At that point in time, if you're Joe Hayden, you don't restructure your contract. I mean, what are you restructuring your contract for? You're still one of the better corners in the game.
And that was during 2017. You guys had all the cap in the world. There was only a couple guys that were gonna get that had big money like that. Of course, Joe Thomas, and Joe Hayden, he was one of the better. I mean, he was a top 7 corner in the NFL. And I mean, here's the thing too. When it comes to Joe Hayden was a guy that he would lock down. In his prime with Cleveland, was locking down very, very good
Absolutely.
receivers. I mean, yes, he had he had one bad game against Justin Blackmon, I believe who it was, against Jacksonville. Okay, corners have bad games. Jalen Ramsey's the best corner in the NFL right now. He has bad games. I mean,
I got 2 things for you real quick. This is how you know tonight is going to be a ground and pound game. Browns running back Dearness Johnson is active tonight for the first time this season. So Dearness Johnson will play tonight. I imagine he will get some carries. And speaking of Browns running backs, on a little bit of a fun side, new Madden roster update came out today. Nick Chubb is now the highest rated running back in the game. He is up to a 98 overall. So he is now the highest rated running back in Madden. So I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, Dearness Johnson reportedly is active and ready to go tonight for the Browns. So obviously we know the legend of Dearness and Thursday night football games, as he went absolutely nuts last year on Thursday night football. So real quick too,
this was something interesting. Browns cornerback Greg Newsome pays tribute to Dwayne Haskins in his pregame outfit by wearing a Steelers-themed Dwayne Haskins shirt. So
that's cool.
That was cool. That was a very cool tribute to.
I'm sure someone will get pissed by that. I'm
actually going to go through the comments here. We'll see. Actually, no. All Steeler fans are just saying mad respect. So. Yep. So yeah, that's all right. That makes me feel good about not all rivalries that are they're one thing, but they are human and stuff and blah 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 and stuff like that. But yeah, I feel like for me, I mean, if I was on that side, I mean, as a Steeler fan, and I told you this earlier, I would be shocked if he didn't retire a Cleveland Brown. He went to the team that he was drafted by, a team that, I mean, while he was still here, like you said, he still had love for here. DJ is a mini Jamal Charles. I know you weren't alive when Prime Jamal was playing.
I just want to make it clear, when Prime Jamal Charles was playing, I was about 8, 9 years old. So screw you, Justin. He still loves to give me shit with my age. You know, I can legally drink now, right, Justin? So
hey, speaking of drinking,
my age. I got my bourbon back there.
For anyone that cares, 4 Roses single barrel. That's the shit right there.
That's the shit.
That is the shit. And not sponsored, but also Powerade White Cherry is also the shit. But yeah, just again, going back to Joe Haden, I feel like if he were to retire a Steeler, obviously I wouldn't be mad at it, but I would be a little shocked. I'm not shocked at all. There was, like you said, a bunch of Steeler fans that were bitching and complaining about it. And simply, who cares, first and foremost? I mean...
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter.
I mean, he spent 7 seasons in Cleveland, 5 in Pittsburgh. So, right. I mean, like, I made a tweet here. Let me find it here real quick. And I even made a tweet yesterday about it. I said, where is it at? Blah, 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 blah. Where is it at? Here we go. I said, is there people really mad Joe Haden retired with the team who drafted him and he spent more than half his career with? Someone said, without us, though, he doesn't finish his career as good as he did. So, yeah, I'm pissed. It's only because it's the Browns. Any other team, people wouldn't care as much.
Right.
This was from a Browns fan, says, I'm not sure it was the same in Pittsburgh since he was unfortunately at the twilight of his career there, but his relationship with Cleveland went way beyond football. How ironic.
That's crazy, Justin. I got Wendy's today, but I know what Wendy's you're talking about. So no, I don't like Wendy's.
But another comment said, I'm mad that he retired, wish he was an active Steeler. And then someone said, and this was true, Jeff, there are people who are mad that the sun came up this morning. This is Twitter. So yeah, that is kind of true.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I don't know. That was just very weird. Fans to just truly get pissed over that.
On my TV over here, I got NFL Live on right before the game, and they're making their best bets for tonight. And the two that I have seen right now are over under 44.5 rushing yards for Kareem Hunt, and they took the over. And the other I saw was Nick Chubb rushing attempts over under 16.5, and they took the over as well. So it does appear they are expecting a heavy run game tonight from the Browns, whether it's Kareem Hunt or Nick Chubb. And, I mean, who knows what we'll see with Dearness Johnson tonight, right. Active for the first time.
So, real quick here, I do have the inactives for tonight's game. Pittsburgh, Mason Rudolph, Kendrick Green, Steven Sims, Isaiah Loudermilk, Mark Robinson, and David Anahan. For the Browns, you have quarterback Kellen Mond, wide receiver Michael Woods, running back Demetric Felton, safety Richard LeCount, tackle Joe Haeg, tackle Chris Hubbard, and defensive end Jadeveon Clowney.
No chance. Browns coaches equal goofballs. Steeler coaches actors. You don't think there's any way the Browns win tonight, Justin? No shot at all? I think the Browns win tonight. I do. I really do. I think I'm gonna say 21-10.
That's what it was week 3 last year against Cincinnati.
Yeah, I say 21-10 the Browns win tonight. I think the defense kind of comes back to life a little bit. I think they play a very good game. I think the offense does their job as well. I'm expecting, honestly, another big Nick Chubb game tonight. I expect him to keep going. So yeah, I think tonight will be the night that the bat signal goes up into the air, and Nick Chubb makes his mark and really stamps his early season success.
Let me ask you a weird question.
Why does Nick Chubb love Batman? I don't
No.
know.
Do you like the brownie elf at midfield, or do you prefer? Because I'm one of those people that love when teams do the helmet at midfield. I love it. I know
like
the Colts
helmet.
do it since, or San Francisco's done it. Kansas City's done it. I love when teams do the helmet at midfield.
No, I like the helmet. I do, but I don't know. I like the elf for some reason. I really do. I think it's different. It's old school. I really do like it. Yeah, I'm an elf guy.
Oh, so you're an elf.
I'm Buddy the elf.
Interesting. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I'm looking through Twitter here, just seeing if there's anything interesting that's going on. Nothing really. But yeah, other than that, it's gonna be one hell of a game. It's gonna be a very interesting game, to say the least. And unless you got anything else you got to say, I mean, unless you want to talk, unless you got it, if you need to do any venting about Sunday, go on ahead. This is your chance.
I don't really have much to say about Sunday. I've kind of gotten over it. But I mean, when you look at it, I mean, I will say people blaming Nick Chubb, people blaming Cade York.
Oh yeah, that was something
dumb.
I wanted to talk about. What the hell is up with Cleveland fans blaming Nick Chubb for that?
It's awful. Should he have gone down? Obviously, if you look at it after the game, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, he should have gone down."
Hindsight's 2020. People are. I mean, if he does that, and the Browns win, oh well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
but it's only because y'all lost. Now it's a big issue.
Yeah, is when it happened. When he ran that touchdown, no one was crying about it. Everyone loved it.
Hell, did you hear the mic'd up with Kevin Stefanski? He didn't seem pissed about it at all.
Nope.
I mean, here's my issue with that is Nick Chubb is the last. It's not like he fumbled. It's not like it was the fumble against the Broncos in the 80s. It's not like he did something like that. I mean, he had a hat trick of touchdowns. He had close to 100 yards, averaged again 5 yards per carry. He was the last person you're blaming. Okay, Cade York misses an extra point. Kickers miss extra points. Do we have to talk about again what happened with Pittsburgh and Cincinnati week 1? I don't think so. But this goes strictly on the special teams and on defense. You're playing prevent defense. You have situational football knowing that the other team has 0 timeouts. You're past the 2-minute warning. Why in the hell are you letting a wide receiver get past you?
Give me a bold prediction for the game tonight. It could be either side of the ball, either team. Give me a bold prediction, something that happens tonight. For me,
there will be a turnover on special teams.
Okay, I like that. My bold prediction is Harrison Bryant catches a touchdown tonight. I don't know why. I have that feeling.
Yeah, I think I got this weird feeling, especially with the weather. I got a feeling someone is going to cough up the football today.
I just pray to God that, what's it called?
I hope that it's not Gunnar Olszewski, because you can't do that again, because you did that once, and that was a play that cost us the game. Because now, yes, you had the opportunity to make other plays, but go ahead.
Hold on. Mike Florio just released an article 5 minutes ago saying, could Mitch Trubisky be benched as soon as tonight? Spoiler, yes. I'm looking at it real quick. As one league source explained to Pro Football Talk, Kenny Pickett is ready to go tonight. Steelers may be ready to move Trubisky to the bench. The thinking in some circles is that Trubisky is hesitating to pull the trigger on throwing the ball and that he needs to start letting it rip.
He's in his own head.
Or he could be getting the hook as early as tonight.
We're praying to the Lord above. That is what happens, because Kenny Pickett is not a guy that... Now, yes, if he goes out there and throws 3 interceptions, you know what? You know what? Here's what I'll say. It'll suck, but I can't be too mad at it because we asked for it. We got it. It didn't work out week 1 or his first game. Cool, but we got what we wanted.
Wait, after you guys play the Jets next week, you play the Bills, Bucks, Dolphins, and Eagles?
That's dear God.
Yeah.
That is brutal.
Yeah, they're pretty much saying if he doesn't play well tonight, They're saying, especially with the extra 3 days for him to prepare for next Sunday, they said it could happen
That's
against the
why I
Jets.
did. That's why I didn't believe that they would do the trigger, before the game tonight because you're on a short leash. I did think that if there was a game you could do it after this game, especially if Mr. Trubisky goes out there and doesn't play well. I could definitely have saw that because now you have that mini bye. Now you have an extra couple days to prepare and get ready.
Okay, so answer a question for me real quick. Would you
For
rather the Steelers win tonight and Mitch Trubisky looks decent to where he buys himself a couple extra weeks, everything, whatever, or would you have the Steelers lose tonight and Trubisky look kind of bad and Kenny Pickett is your starter next week going into the game against the Jets?
It's a divisional game. I need this win. You just
Need
mentioned
it.
those next 4 games. I need the wins. I don't care if and here's the thing. If Mr. Trubisky could go out there and play well, it's not like I don't like the man. I mean, it's just we don't like the way that he's playing and like you said, the way he's not pulling the trigger. But I don't have a vendetta against him. I don't have an agenda against him. It's just basically what I'm seeing with the eye test. And yeah, it's a divisional opponent. Give me this win. Because I can't go because spoiler again, I'm supposed to be going to Pittsburgh again on Sunday. I can't go into Pittsburgh haunting knowing that we lost and that in back-to-back weekends of me being there, the Steelers lost. I can't do that.
Jacoby Brissett is averaging 9 yards per attempt versus the Steelers. It's his most yards per attempt versus any team in the NFL he's played.
I remember the
Multiple
one game he
times.
played against, it was against when he played for the Colts in 2019. He played decently well. Then he got hurt. Brian Hoyer came in, and then all went downhill. But for the Colts, but yeah, I mean, other than that, that's kind of what I got. I mean, I just simply don't believe. Oh, back to one more thing, and then we'll get on out of here. Going back to the whole thing on Sunday. Hey, you're playing prevent defense. Why the hell are you letting guys get behind you? And now Amari Cooper was a guy. He took blame and said, "Listen, I needed to come up with a football on hand, on special teams on the onside kick." He took blame for that. He understood that what he did was wrong. But the issue is, I don't like the fact that you have Denzel Ward, a guy who's making $100 million, who's not being he's not taking blame, or John Johnson or other Grant Delpit and those guys. They're playing the blame game without playing the blame game.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing too, is it's interesting. I'm sure that's what part of the players meeting covered, or maybe that's what the players meeting covered. But I mean, you gotta get that shit figured out. I mean, as grown men, is in the secondary like that, as professional athletes, you guys can't be pointing fingers at each other. Someone has to know that they did something wrong in that case, and
Yeah. But I mean, other than that, I think that's it. I mean, unless you got anything else you want to say.
no, I think that's it.
All right, Browns. The line is at 4.5 for this game. I just went and checked that. 4.5-point favorites for the Cleveland Browns. 8:15, low over an hour away. Again, I'll be getting ready to go live. 8:15, right around when the game starts. I'll be going live, doing a live reaction stream. It's going to be an absolute blast. You guys will be able to see my live reactions. Obviously, for Hunter, he'll be wanting to see a lot of rage. And so is Justin. He'll want to see a lot of rage. Steel Black, he'll want to see a lot of happiness. So it's gonna be a great time. It's gonna be fun. We'll be in there talking bullshit and talking football. It's gonna be a blast. It'll be a vibe. This will be my third one doing this, and I mean they've done pretty well for me. This will be my second Browns Steelers game, so yeah, it's gonna be a blast. And I hope you guys will be there. I hope you guys will be in the comments with me. But until then, I think that's it. Do want to say thank you everyone for tuning in. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you guys did, make sure to hit the red subscribe button, drop a comment, hit the like button, go and follow Hunter on Twitter, go and follow me on Twitter. And
Go follow me on Twitter.
You said what?
Go follow me on Twitter.
And until then, I hope to see you guys here in about an hour tonight. Or if not, I'm going to probably do a reaction video to this game. Even though I'm doing a live reaction stream, I'll probably still do a reaction to this game. But until then, I'm Jeff. That's Hunter. You all have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe. Go Steelers. Peace out.